What we'd like to do now is have a time for mothers, the mothers in our congregation to speak a word. Sons or daughters can also speak if they would like about mother or their own experience as a mother. So I'll bring the microphone around. Just raise your hand if you're willing to share a few things. Thank you, Helen.
I always had a very difficult relationship with my mother. And lately, I have begun to think about the gifts that she gave me. And I think the most important gift she gave me was the gift of music. And I will be forever grateful for that.
Anyone else?
All right, I'm Porter, and this is my mom. We also have our grandmother, my grandmother's up on the stage, my mom's mom. And I just want to say my mom moved out about 13 years ago to help me because I raised my daughter as a single mom, and that I'm always so grateful for that. And I love that she's 10 miles down the road and I get to see her once or twice a week, and I know how special that is. So I'm grateful every day for her and for our great grandma that we had. And I'm a mom myself of a 23-year-old.
Well, I'm missing my mom today because it's not only Mother's Day, but it would have been her 85th birthday. So, it's a little hard, but I feel her presence and signs everywhere. So, she's in my heart. Thank you.
I was walking with an old friend yesterday at a mutual friend's birthday, and she inquired about how I was doing with the loss of my dad, and I told her, grief is just what they say. It's not linear, and so you feel it in unexpected times. And she said, well, she said something like, I don't really have parents per se. Like, of course everybody has parents, but Dad wasn't in the picture, and she said, I've had to stop contact with my mom because of the way that I was raised and the fact that I'll always want from her something that I know she can't give, which is mothering, tenderness, care, the things that people expect from their moms. And anyway, I just wanted, I think everybody knows I have the most incredible mom. I have, was taught, I know unconditional love because of my mom. And we continue to have such a wonderful relationship. So I just wanted to kind of speak for the people. There's so many people in this world that have either a frustrated or non-existent relationship with their moms, and I think that they deserve all the nurturing that they didn't get. And the beautiful thing was she now has a son, and she said, I'm able to heal that wound by giving my son what I didn't receive. So that was like the beautiful part of the conversation. Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I read something from Annie Lamont yesterday because she also had a tumultuous relationship with her mother and said, there's many of us that don't either have children, not because we didn't want children, but we just weren't blessed with children. So it's sometimes a bittersweet day of celebration. Anyone else?
My mom passed away 12 years ago. I'm from El Salvador. I live here 45 years. And I think that was a big, big gift from my mom. But I was away many, many years, and I regret that. But I'm a mother. I have 2 children. And I'm really proud to be a mother. It's a big gift for us that God gave it to. But I was a mother of many children here. I worked for this parish 25 years, take care of children here. So still my mom was away. I was a mom for children here. So I'm so happy to be a mother.
Did you want?
I love being a mom, and I also miss my mom and all the mom figures in my life, my aunts and friends that stood in as moms too. But I felt like motherhood was such a transformative experience. I just changed in so many ways, and I found out things about myself that I didn't know, that I could be stronger and braver than I ever thought. But I also had many limitations, and there was so much joy sharing life with my children, and we laughed so hard and experiencing those silly moments and those curious moments, but also wiping away tears and sharing devastating losses with them. And being a single mom, I really realized how important community is and how we can't do it alone. And I think in our culture, we're so individualized, and it's so valuable to look at how many other people can help us in parenting and raising and guiding our children.
I was reminded of my mother this morning. My sister sent a message and made me think back. And my mother was a nurse and a giving person. She took care of other people, to solve other people's problems. When she retired from being a professional nurse, she turned to helping out at the hospital, volunteer work, helping the garden club, helping the library, helping, wow, we had an unruly family that she helped us and set a good example all the way along. Thank you, Mom.
I also had a difficult relationship with my mom, and I was paid back for that by having a difficult relationship with my 13-year-old daughter, whom I would have sold to anyone who would have taken her at the time. But, I thought about that, and I thought, okay, what about before I was a rebellious teenager? And so the things I remember about my mom is she taught me how to roller skate. I grew up in the city of Chicago. And if you remember the olden days, you had skates that clamped onto your shoes, and you had to have a skate key. And we would roller skate around the block together. She also took me to a park nearby where there was a pond, and in Chicago, the pond would freeze over, and so we would ice skate together. I never think of her as athletic, but she was a great swimmer. In the Chicago schools at that time, in order to graduate from high school, you had to pass a swimming test because it was right on the lake, and they thought it was very important that people learn how to swim. So I learned a lot of skills from my mom that I just sat here and thought about and haven't thought about for a long time. And of course, after I got done being a rebellious teenager, then we got back in touch.
I was thinking about my mother. She immigrated to the United States in 1948 and came from a very, very wealthy family in Korea and was actually raised by nannies. She did not have a relationship with her mother and didn't have a good relationship with her either. But with us, with her children, she just had the fiercest, most enormous love that she gave us unconditionally. And I think that we were the only ones that she really felt safe to love, So she taught me that. And when I had kids, I had never experienced the kind of love that one can experience as a mother. And for me, that's been like such a gift. It's, you know, when people say, well, what's the you know, most meaningful thing you've done in your life? And without hesitation, I say being a mom. Nothing could compare to that experience and the incredible gift of love, which then makes you appreciate and feel the love of others, the love of God. So I'm both really grateful to my mom and also feel so thankful to be able to be a mom.
I just want to say I'm so grateful for my mother and my grandmothers. I grew up with an amazing mom, and I thought everybody had a mom like that until I went away to college, and I realized, like, wow, I was really, really extraordinarily lucky. And she was always known for her smile. She was a very gracious smile, kind of quiet, but just a great cook. She was the, you know, classic stay-at-home mom, made pies and everything. And she wasn't a particularly athletic person, but one of the things that she thought was important for us to learn how to play. We couldn't go to summer school because she wanted us to play, and I nailed the play part. And I thank my mom for that. And although she wasn't athletic, her pride was she could ride a bicycle backwards. She'd sit on the handlebars and face back, and she would show us that, and that would be it. That would be her display on a bike for a while. So I was very fortunate, and so that's what I wanted to be. And I was lucky, blessed. Like the 4 best days of my life were the birth of each of my children. And I'm sorry I slipped out a little while ago, but that was a phone call from Switzerland, and I had to talk to 2 of my granddaughters. And it's really special being a grandmother now, too. And if I could just do half of what my mother and grandmothers did, I will be grateful.
It was a great joy for me to be with my mother when I was with her, but I was evacuated to Canada when I was 10 years old because of the war, and mother had to stay back in England, and my father too. Anyway, being a mother myself is a great joy, and the children, the boys today, and Debbie, are so kind, looking after me and seeing after my condition. So it's just wonderful being a mother. I'm thankful for Mother's Day.
Well, I have to share a little secret about Denise. I called her at 7:30 this morning, and she said, "I'm not sure I'm really up for coming." And I said, "You're the greeter. You got to come." And we don't have Pastor Elisabeth, so I need help.
Well, my mom was incredible, and I never understood that. You know, she had an extremely difficult life. She was widowed the first time at 19 when her husband died from tuberculosis, and she had a small child. She was widowed the second time when she was early 30s. Her husband was killed in the building of the Hetch Hetchy Dam. This was during the Depression. She raised 2 children. There was no Social Security. There was no benefits. There was nothing. And she said so many times she woke up and didn't know how she would feed her children. And then she married my dad, and then he died when my mom was probably 75. She had a lot of grief. Her one son was killed. He was a navigator in a bomber over Germany and was shot down. Her second son was missing in action for months. He was in the Battle of the Bulge. And she persevered. She was so incredibly strong. And she was born with a cleft palate. And There was so much abuse at that time. One of the kids, when they were all out swimming, tried to drown her. This is a woman that I never, ever really understood until now. And I'm amazed. She taught me to be a really good pie baker. She was an amazing gardener, and I wish I had paid attention when she was trying to teach me. So I wasn't going to speak today, but I thought I have to. She needs to be honored.
Oh, thank you all. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm in awe of mothers. First of all, that they actually can do birth, but both my mom, Kathy's mom, Megan's mom, and my Kathy. My own mother, you don't really appreciate your mom when you're growing up. She was the pillar of respectability, propriety, and virtue. But over the years, I've appreciated her more and more. At her funeral at 92, a woman showed up who nobody recognized in her early 70s. We asked her how she knew my mom. She says, well, I had her in junior high school in 7th grade, and she was the lively one in the school. And that's a lot of her story. She bicycled from New York to Ottawa in 1940. And there are a few stories about haystacks and youth hostels that she never really told.